We've all been there, crammed shoulder to shoulder with strangers on the bus or train. The guy in the stained sweatpants, the teenager blasting music, the lady with 15 grocery bags. It's a melting pot of humanity, and sometimes, that pot boils over. Public transportation often brings together a mix of people and unpredictable experiences, making it a stage for truly unnerving moments. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into 6 unsettling encounters from the twilight zone of public transportation. These stories, shared by everyday people just like you and me, prove that sometimes the most unsettling destinations aren't on the map, but on the other side of the aisle. Picture this. You're riding the bus home after a long day. It's late, you're exhausted, and the only other passenger on board is slumped over in his seat, seemingly fast asleep. Head bobbing, arms crossed, classic napper, right? But then, you glance over and something isn't right. His eyes are slightly open and they're fixed on you. Not a casual glance, not a drowsy blink. A steady, unnerving stare. You try to shake it off, but every time you look back, those eyes are still on you. Minutes stretch into an eternity, the bus rumbles on, and the figure never moves, never blinks, never breaks its gaze. Was it a harmless quirk, a medical condition, or something else?
Was it a harmless quirk, a medical condition, or something else?
Imagine yourself on the subway late at night. The car is practically deserted, the air thick with an unsettling silence. Suddenly, you hear it. A faint, high-pitched whistling coming from somewhere in the shadows. You look around, but you can't pinpoint the source. As the train rattles through the dark tunnels, the whistling intensifies, becoming a haunting melody that seems to echo your every thought. Then, just as abruptly as it began, the whistling stops. You're left in the echoing silence, wondering if you imagined the whole thing or if something truly sinister had shared your ride.
You're left in the echoing silence, wondering if you imagined the whole thing or if something truly sinister had shared your ride.
This next story takes place on a crowded city bus. Passengers are crammed together, lost in their own worlds, scrolling through phones, reading books, staring out the window. Suddenly, a figure steps onto the bus that sends a chill down everyone's spine. They're contorting their face, opening their mouth wide as if letting out a blood-curdling scream, but no sound comes out. They move down the aisle slowly, deliberately, locking eyes with each passenger, their silent scream echoing in the stunned silence of the bus. No one dared to speak, to move, to even breathe, until the moment the silent screamer stepped off the bus and disappeared into the crowd.
No one dared to speak, to move, to even breathe, until the moment the silent screamer stepped off the bus and disappeared into the crowd.
Chapter 4. The Shadow Passenger. Have you ever glanced at your reflection in a darkened window and seen something that wasn't really there? That's what happened to one passenger on a late-night train ride. As they gazed out the window, they noticed a shadowy figure sitting across from them, reflected in the glass. Heart-pounding, they turned to look, but the seat was empty. Confused and unnerved, they turned back to the window, and the shadow remained, staring back at them with an unblinking gaze. For the rest of the journey, the shadow lingered in the reflection, a chilling reminder that sometimes what we see isn't always what's real. Chapter 5. The Bag Full of Mystery. Imagine settling into your seat on a crowded bus, catching a glimpse of the person next to you clutching a large duffel bag. But this is no ordinary bag. It's stained, a deep, unsettling crimson. Curiosity gets the best of you, and you work up the courage to ask what's inside. The stranger turns, a slow, chilling grin spreading across their face. You don't want to know, they whisper, their eyes burning into yours. The bus screeches to a halt at the next stop, and the stranger slips into the night, leaving you to grapple with the unsettling mystery of the blood-stained bag. Chapter 6. The Stranger Who Knew Too Much. Sometimes the most unsettling encounters are the ones that hit closest to home. Picture yourself on a quiet subway ride, lost in your own thoughts, when a stranger strikes up a conversation. At first it seems innocent enough. Small talk, the weather, the usual, but then the conversation takes a turn.
The stranger begins sharing details about your life, your childhood, your family, your deepest fears, things they couldn't possibly know. You're frozen in place, a mix of confusion and terror washing over you, as the stranger leans in close and whispers, You told me once.
And just like that, they vanish into the crowd, leaving you to question everything you thought you knew. Outrow Safe Travels. These stories remind us that sometimes the most ordinary places can become the setting for the most extraordinary and unsettling experiences. The next time you're on the bus or train, take a moment to look around. You never know who you might be sharing your ride with, or what secrets they might be hiding. Stay safe out there.